unsubscribe from. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's the fucking internet. You do that, they will do it. So
Yeah,
We've skipped weeks before.
You can't. You can take a hiatus, but I mean, usually it's a very short respite.
And then we got to do like then we got to come back like LL Cool J and be like, don't call it a comeback.
I've been here 2 weeks ago.
Oh, we just see that guy in the background doing that. That works too. That's where they took it from. All right, I'm doing everything from this one desktop with all my 4 screens, so no more multiple devices in my hand.
Yeah, we got 40 plays on that last one in the last week. It's still getting hits. It's still the most popular one. 10 plays in Locust Grove, so somebody was catching up. 12 in McDonough, 8 in Morrow.
Joke's on you. I drive around the state and just listen
to throw off the algorithm.
You'll never catch me. Algorithm.
There's one in Chile.
Ping in different web addresses.
Unless it specifies specific.
2 plays in Japan. Was that you? You flew over there just to do 2 plays of the podcast.
Couldn't afford me to fly there. I just flew my phone over there and just played that way.
It's a passenger.
Yeah.
He's a passenger.
That's what I tell them. All you got to do is just hit play on this one thing, please. That's all you got to do, and just mail me back this phone.
All right, I just got the notification, so we should have some people join us. He's a passenger. Who wrote that song, The Passenger? I know the one I'm talking about. Boom, 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 boom. He's a passenger. I'm probably doing that very poorly. Brent's pretty good with music trivia, too.
You have the voice of an angel.
I'm just going to just look it up online, say The Passenger song, and then there, bam. I don't know how many of those there can be.
What's everybody's preferred music streaming service?
I'm a mixed bag because somehow I got screwed over
Ziggy Pop.
There you go.
That's what I messed up. Yes.
Oh, we're gonna get flagged.
Strike us.
We're gonna get flagged.
Immediately.
Which is gonna take us off.
I already see it's going down now.
This is Iggy Pop.
Oh, they'll just replace the audio.
It won't be on SoundCloud, at least. I'll cut this out. I couldn't.
Yes, I watched somebody online who was getting around digital rights media where they were singing songs with like bad auto tune, where you can kind of make out what it was, but you couldn't. It's like that's what they were saying. It's like the algorithm can't get me now. They were just doing that.
The reason I bring it up is because we kind of consolidated services. We were paying for Apple Music, Amazon Music. I was paying for Spotify, which I really like. And then we were both out of like iPhone cloud storage. So it was like, all right, if we look at this and we do this and we have Apple TV and then we get the fitness, like this will pay for itself really quickly. So we signed up for that. And I like the selection of Apple Music, especially when I'm at home. But when I have to drive somewhere, it is like the most spotty, where I never had issues before. It just like, and that totally takes you out of a song when it's not even buffering, or you don't even hear it clip down to like a lower bit rate. It just stops. And then it won't be like once or twice a song. It'll be nonstop. I'm just like, Jesus. I switched back to, but I haven't listened to any podcasts the past 2 weeks because I don't want to retread. You know, you end up repeating words that, or impressions that you've heard of stuff. So I didn't want to do that. So.
And actually, that sounds about right. I mean, Apple Music is giving the recreation of you just driving between county lines and losing the radio signal. So that should be the one you'd be sticking with. So, yeah.
County line radio.
Yep. That's what I'm here for. Devil's advocate, man. I was looking the good for everything.
All right, so we have one person watching?
And bad and good.
Let me check that thing. That says not live. Why does that say not live? Is Restream... you're live. I see it. I guess this other side just didn't kick off. Oh, that's fine. I'm good with it. Look at us in our full 1080p greatness.
Yeah, look at that shit.
Full 1080p greatness.
I had to do that with my whatever YouTube video I'm watching because sometimes it's like auto 480p. It's like, no, we have options for 1080p 60 frames per second. Why are we going to auto 480p? I was like, no. We're going back to
How's that
1080p,
even a
60 frames
thing?
per second. I don't know why this is an option. I'd take it off auto. I think it's whatever YouTube puts in there to save data. It's like, no, we're not saving data today.
Make him watch it in progressive scan. 4:3.
Yes. I need 60 frames per second for what I'm watching on YouTube.
It's a cooking
I'll
show.
notice the difference. Somebody made a joke about that earlier where they were saying they were watching some kind of Gordon Ramsay show where it's just people making eggs but in prison. I'm like, that's the weirdest example ever. People making eggs but in prison.
Is the process different?
That sucks.
Why not?
I didn't watch it. I just saw that comment. I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe I should look for it. But I was like, how do I search that in YouTube and not be weird? And that's going to get an algorithm. It's going to give me every video from prison. I'm like, I don't know if I want that in my feed. So, blah, 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 but in prison. I'm like,
A friend of the show, Jeremy, sent me a video, and it wasn't vile or anything, but it was just cringe. It was so cringe. I'm like, oh, God, it's going to give me everything related to this, and it's going to totally throw my algorithm out the door. I'm screwed.
Oh, yeah, you got to be careful with that shit. That's why I have Firefox and I open whatever their incognito mode when I have to do bullshit like that when somebody sends me something. I've been burned before.
Don't let it affect my perfect recommendations.
Yeah. Well, because I'll go on YouTube and now I'm getting recommended for bullshit I never get recommended before. I'm like, I was like, no, get out the way. Give me the stuff that I usually watch.
I know when the missus has looked at something because I'm like, ooh, gaming soundtracks. We have some sports highlights, and then we have how to tile a floor. And I'm like, I did not fucking look that up. No way.
Or some kind of weird surgery thing,
Pimple
right?
poppers. Watch this zit explode on the camera lens. I'm like, okay, no, it's not going to happen.
Watch never. Is that an option on YouTube videos? Can I right click on there and watch?
What's your mute, block, unfollow? Unfriend.
Yeah, the trifecta.
Hey, you can do that on recommended videos on your home screen. You can I can't remember what it is, but you can click those little 3 dots on the side.
Is that just for your benefit, or does it strike them?
No, it doesn't strike them at all. It's something about is this recommendation helpful or something like that. Let me see. So yeah, you can save to your playlist or whatever, share, and then you can hit not interested or
does
don't
that benefit
recommend
your
channel.
Algorithm though? Because I almost feel like that's giving them data, and I never give anybody anything they're not paying me for, except for giving my PS3 games back to Sony.
There we go.
I am.
That'll show them.
Jim Ryan won't want to play them.
Hey man, they hired the right guy for the role, right? It's all clear now. We see why Sean Layden left. So.
Did you see Jeff Grubb's quote? He was like, "The more I think about this, I stayed up to hammer out these notes." He's like, "This is a corporation, and it's a huge corporation. So you have different people fighting for the limited leadership roles that they have. So when they get one of these leadership roles, they change things as they feel like they need to change from the way it was going before. Like they need to make their mark on it. And a lot of the time they'll end up getting the credit for it and not even understanding what they did. They just put the right people in place. So it almost seems like the people who learned lessons from the other generations are not there to right the ship with this one. I'm not saying the ship's going astray, but it's a different philosophy.
I'm seeing how a lot of people were telling. You saw that thing where Sean Layden was liking all those.
Where are you,
tweets.
Sean Layden?
They were like, yeah. I think they drew a line. It sounds like according to Sony, they drew a line in the sand, and this is what we want to do, and they're moving away from that traditional gaming company. They're profits, man. It's like the gaming division is the most profitable division in Sony now. It didn't used to be that way, and I think there's a lot of pressure on PlayStation now to produce financial results, and that's what they're going based off. Because I think I followed somebody on, I remember it was Twitter, or I heard somewhere where they were they were saddened by the news that Japan Studio was closing, but they could see why, because they said the best game Japan Studio came out in the last 10 years was Puppeteer, and it's like nobody bought it or played it, and they said nobody bought or played Everybody's Golf, nobody bought or played Gravity Rush. It's like he said the only thing that's hurting Sony is they don't have a streaming service, because that would have survived with them. So
we bought them.
He said because they could have threw that on there, and they could have been like, hey, I paid $34 a month for the service, but hey, and they got the idea this is a free game. Let me download it because I'm not gonna lose any more money with it. I'm already
I think
paying
I saw the
this amount of
same
money,
one because it was like 166,000 copies, 220,000 copies.
Yeah. And the dude was sad. He's like, I don't want these studios to go, but you gotta look at Sony as a corporation. They look at the bottom line. They're like, this doesn't make us any money. So there's nothing they do with it. So it sucks because I love the Puppeteer, and there's no way to play it now.
I have a sealed copy. I'll sell you for the going rate.
I'm looking at 3 copies right here. So
well, hopefully it didn't have any patches.
Damn, I want to say it did get patched.
Yeah, I want to say the Patchgate thing is weird because patches are going offline and their patches are coming back online now. If you go check it out now, so I think they may be screwing around with the servers or something like that. It might
somebody's going to back up all that stuff, so we'll have something to point our shit to. So I'm not.
There's a manual patcher for RSC PS3 for PC. Yeah, you can manually patch stuff.
Gonna come around.
So,
all right, we've talked about news for like 20 minutes already. You all ready to get going?
That's fine.
Except this isn't in the podcast.
What are we talking about? Bad Silent Hill games that we all bought and played and regret?
Sure, out of the hundreds of them. Ooh, I don't have that one.
The butthole version of a Book of Demons made
Everybody
by
was excited about
Forward,
that. I was about to say, Wait Forward did that, right? That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 11 minutes in.
It played like a dungeon crawler. That's all it was. It was a dungeon crawler. What do you do that with Silent Hill, man?
That's what everybody wants from one.
Silent Hill's broken my heart so many times. I look out here and look at all the copies of Silent Hill I have. I'm like, this might be good. And
disappointed.
It never is.
I am a passenger. Alright, hold on. I got a bunch of shit open for no reason.
Yeah, go for it. It's like my Final Fantasy 14 screen. So when I just logged in, I was like, every fucking thing ever open. I'm like, I don't even know what's the last time I played this.
Record it. Well, I was checking Restream. I was checking YouTube. I was checking OBS. Now I got to pull Skype back up because that's where we actually record from.
I got what it takes to rock the mic, right? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 154 of the NOFODcast. We are back 2 weeks later after your last episode. This is your latest and greatest. We built up 2 weeks worth of energy and tension, and we're going to unleash it on you this episode 2 weeks later after the build up. Tonight we have a decent amount of news.
Sounded so dirty and wrong in so many ways.
Oh, this is how it goes. When you don't write it out anymore. In news, is Microsoft eyeing Kojima? Castlevania for Dreamcast has been found. I'm excited to see an update on that story because I was tracking it on eBay for a minute. Sony invests more into Epic Games. Platinum Games announces new game and releases another. Latest PS5 updates adds new key features if you have or can find a PlayStation 5. And what's new on PlayStation Now, Xbox Game Pass, and Nintendo Online. I have not seen 2 of those 3. I'm very excited to find out. And finding out with me, myself, of course, Richard Bergman, also finding out he built the news. He might already know, Brant McKee.
I know all, I see all. Oh. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
The man behind the curtain. The man pulling the strings behind the man behind the curtain. Cesar Concepcion II.
Yeah, hello.
The puppet master. The puppeteer master.
Yeah.
The puppeteer.
Some would say the puppeteer. Master.
We're back, gentlemen. Everybody played Mountains of Games the last 2 weeks.
Probably not.
So
really.
I actually had a couple rain days on vacation, so I have 2 mobile games to talk about. Very surprised. Hang on, listeners.
Mobile games or MOBA?
Mobile games. For your mobile.
Yeah, I need you to pronounce the
for your
I
mobile. You'll never hear me saying MOBA games. So if I say MOBA games, I played 2 MOBA games, assume I meant mobile, not MOBA.
Absolutely not. I'm looking forward to our League of Legos episode.
Hey, there is a League of Legends mobile game.
I just look at them. I look at the...
I've been seeing ads all week, and they just... Yes, I can't. I'm so tired of seeing
where you see mobile game ads.
Oh no, just stuff on YouTube or.
YouTube is like every like I'll open up a video like 55 videos of AFK Arena.
$6.99 a month.
Damn, I don't even know what I know the name of AFK Arena.
$6.99 a month. Pay that fee. Never have to see League of Legos ads. I'll happily pay it. That's my favorite subscription.
I'm I'm paying numerous fees on subscription
Pony it
services,
up,
so
sir.
I
You
can't.
got it. Sell.
Absolutely not. I would rather just create content myself, not to see
That's
those ads.
also a good option. You may follow that path. That's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. I definitely would do
Maybe
that
we can get to
instead.
be
Yes,
like some
absolutely.
sort of Google partner, and they hook us up with that. Is there a YouTube gaming thing still? Do they? It seems like they soft launch every once in a while.
I think so.
I mean, we're live on YouTube. Maybe they find us and they're like, we want to take you and mold you and make you our superstars.
No, I think that whole thing where remember when we had where Amazon bought Twitch and then Microsoft started Mixer. I think that whole fad passed. We don't really hear anybody signing exclusive deals anymore. If they do, it's not a big deal as like it used to be.
Mixer.
So,
God bless Mixer.
Well, we're broadcast on it now, so we never let the dream die. So if you check our Beam one, I think we're playing Halo 2 native hardware, still on Xbox Live. They can't take us down.
On X-Link Kai. Oh. All right, so games played shouldn't be too lengthy. We got some pretty cool preservation stories here. I know we've missed some news the past 2 weeks, but we're not going to be too hard on Brant. He also took a vacation from news.
It's all we ever
needed.
Finally to get away.
All right, first up is Microsoft eyeing Kojima.
Did we do it? Did we get strike?
No, it's going to be
we're
from
still live?
Iggy Pop earlier. Is someone eyeing Kojima? Games Radar says Hideo Kojima is reportedly in talks with Xbox over publication of his next game. I think we talked about Phil Spencer hiding the little Xbox logo, or it was a Ludens statue next to the Xbox logo in some roundtable he did in February. According to a report from VentureBeat, who wrote that? Was that Jeff Grubb? Jeff Grubb? I don't want to misquote here. It was at Jeff Grubb. Kojima Productions is making a new game. One of the reasons people believed abandoned that story came and went. We do not have to discuss that mystery PS5 game.
Yeah.
Supposedly Kojima is in talks with Microsoft about publishing his next game, according to a source familiar with the matter. And yes, the statue was referencing a potential deal. Cannot confirm if they close the deal. Understanding is Kojima is the focus of a Microsoft plan to tap into Japanese talent. That has apparently been a big initiative of theirs, is to lean into Japanese production. Someone has to make the Japanese games if we're not going to get it from other places. There's been no official announcement, of course. And the story notes that Kojima Productions' last game was published. Was it published by Sony? It was co-developed.
It was. It's running on the Decima engine. If you look it up, the IP is owned by Sony. It's published by Sony, but they gave permission to 505 Games to do the PC version. It's the same thing like the 3 games from Quantic Dream. Those IPs are owned by Sony, but when Quantic Dream went third party, they gave them permission to put those on PC. So, because if you look at the PC copyrights, it still says
Did they fix up that PC
Sony.
port of Death Stranding? Did they straighten it out?
Yeah. I think that was the last thing they did with that game. So I don't think they ever went back and addressed anything with the PS4 version. I think whatever was left, they cleaned up on the PS5.
I wouldn't mind dipping back into it if there's a PS5 patch that comes out. Didn't we think there was going to be an announcement coming up at some point that was going to give us a PS5 patch?
Nah, we already know we're just gonna wait for the remaster for the next gen one. So,
on that note, we were pretty harsh on the Last of Us rumor. Did we talk about that, all of us together? We haven't talked about that either.
No, we didn't.
All right, what's our thoughts?
No.
The rumor is that, or no, that was a Jason Schreier piece. Oh God, this isn't in news. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So essentially, all that happened was Jason Schreier leaked out something from Bloomberg where he got some. The biggest thing to take from this article is that basically Sony has not been listening to the developers, and they've been kind of dictating how some of their games have been made. It's the opposite of what they've usually been known for. So there was a visual, it was kind of like one of those Sony classic ones, like for the SNES ones, where like those visual arts or something like that. I forgot what they called it, but they're like
Sony
support studio.
Yeah, digital arts or visual arts or something.
And they basically just help studios release their games. So the lead of that studio decided that he wanted to develop a game, and apologize for not having their name. So and I think he had a choice between a remake of Uncharted and a remake of The Last of Us. and then he settled on The Last of Us, and I'm assuming because all those deals coming out with the TV show was coming out, and Last of Us 2 just came out, so that's the route he went. So he did the development of the game, and I guess Sony looked at it and they started moving over Naughty Dog developers from the original game on there to help with it, and kind of like just took the control of the game from him and was saying like, we want Naughty Dog to do it. And they ended up supporting Naughty Dog, who's now making this Last of Us remake.
The first one. So just to reiterate,
also on
the
top
first Last of Us that
correct.
came out on 2013 on PS3, and then the remaster came out on PS4 in 2014.
Yes. Yep. Which is weird because, it's recent and that remaster still plays well and looks well. But it's neither here or there. That's judgmental. We don't know what the marketing is behind that.
This is along the lines of remake, right? Yep.
This is a remake, yeah. I think in the article for Jason Schreier, he said you look at the Last of Us 2 engine, but with the Last of Us, they would just be basically putting that game on there. Also, the ad in that article was Sony Bend. They had pitched Days Gone 2.
Sorry, Brant.
But but due to the I don't know if it's the sales, it was profitable. It wasn't as profitable as Sony wanted, but also due to the word of mouth, a lot of people were disappointed when the game came out originally. I know there's a lot of steam within the last couple of months after they've been made it, basically playable for not at a cost for everybody. They decided, I guess, whatever pitch they had, they didn't want to go with, so they signed Sony Bend to do support for Naughty Dog Studio. They were concerned that they were just going to become like a Naughty Dog North or whatever it was going to be, just become absorbed in there and lose their identity. So I think they complained enough. I'm going to say they voiced their concerns enough where they were able to create a new game, pitch a new game with a new IP. So something completely different, but not after losing, the Days Gone director. He had left the company. Remember we saw that. We talked about that a couple months back where they randomly just left the company when this exodus of people were leaving. And that looks like that might have been part of the reason, because I think he went on Twitter and said he couldn't clarify. And he said there's some things he can't talk about that Jason Schreier could. So and he left it at that. Yeah. So he's like, and that, and you don't want to burn the bridge. You never know. Sony's going through something now, but you never know in the future. It's like anything political. People change. CEOs change, so directions change sometimes in companies. So you don't want to burn those bridges, even though it seems like Sony's burning a lot of bridges with developers.
Another point, you have these legacy IPs that people want to see. When all this, the news was already, the fleeing of like first party studios was already out there, and then you get this like Days Gone expose and Last of Us. The point I was starting to make was we actually got this treatment with Shadow of the Colossus. So we had it on PS2. We got a was a solid 30 frames per second 3D version on PS3, one that ran better, and then we got the full remake on PS4, which is a awesome game. So it kind of followed that similar pattern. But fans are the ones that are carrying these flags and wanting to discuss these things. We're passionate about these things, and we purchase their products, and we've enjoyed these IP for so many years that it feels bad to see these stories come out and these things seem to slip away. And I know the three of us are different because we can still go play Jak and Daxter. We can still play a Sly Cooper. We can play Medieval. We have hard copies of Wipeout. We can enjoy these legacy titles, but they've frowned upon these older games, and they're not making them accessible anymore. So that in combination with the store closing on PS3, PSP, and Vita, so it's kind of down right now. And on that note, I think they've done better with PlayStation Plus than ever. It almost feels like I'm not going to say it's Game Pass, but they're eking into that. Every month we have a flagship title. Like we have something really big to look forward to with Game Pass or with PlayStation Plus, it seems.
At least 3 a month, I think those are big ones. Even though they don't have any PS5 games on their service yet. I think you're absolutely right. I think the biggest thing is I think unfortunately we're the minority. That's just what it is. Because if they're making money off us, what we're voicing, they're gonna keep that store open. They're gonna find a way to make PS3 games playable on there. If they're they're making money off it,
they've got the numbers, and it's not worth it. Yeah,
that's why they're not concerned. Yeah, it's just different because a lot of people are more up in arms about it because Microsoft's in a different place right now because you have a CEO that believes in gaming, Then you have Phil Spencer, who knows what he's doing with the gaming division, and he's trying to do the Game Pass, and Microsoft CEO believes in it. He's like, he believes in what he wants to do. He thinks he'll turn it into profit. So, and they need to have diversity. That's why that whole bit we just talked about, Japanese developers. That's one thing that's missing from the Game Pass. They get some more. It's like Netflix. I mean, nobody wants to have the same action film in Netflix. You're going to go away from that service. You need variety. So that's the one thing they're missing outside
but
of
done this
Yakuza
before.
games.
They've tried this before, and it wasn't their bread and butter. Is there a market for that there? There is for us. We're not going to discuss that because we all have Lost Odyssey. We all have Blue Dragon.
Well, yeah.
I think it's a different story now because all that's how they're going to find out. I mean, you look at Netflix; they've done a whole bunch of shows. They've done shows that people love and then they canceled because they were like nobody watched it.
Yeah,
you don't know until you try.
Yeah,
Microsoft's got billions and billions of dollars, so they can take those chances. That's why Sony can't do that. Sony needs a sure thing. They can't. They don't have that type.
Did y'all see the HoloLens money from the Army grant? Because we were talking about them buying Bethesda for $1 billion. They got like 22 million or 22 billion, I think it was, from the U.S. government for HoloLens.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it is, and and I think somebody. And what's funny is that somebody on Twitter was like, Microsoft this, Microsoft that, and this, and somebody on Twitter is like, hey, I'm not bashing what Microsoft did. I think they're doing a great job, especially on the historical some of these games, keeping them preserved. But the guy's like, I'm gonna be real. I said, like, I don't trust any of these corporations with that. It's like if you want to go blindly believing in Microsoft on that, that's cool because right now it's making them a profit. But it's like the dude's like they can get a CEO in like 5 years. It's like, hey, I want nothing to do with gaming. It's not bringing the money I thought it would. Let's get rid of it. And we're looking at it like crazy because it's bringing billions of dollars a year. But Microsoft's like, it's not bringing.
Just like we're doing with Sony. We had this whole generation of like goodwill, and we had the two IPs that I used earlier, Wipeout and Medieval. We got two brand like new iterations of it. Like, how is this going to be a thing? Yeah. And so many experimentations learned at the end of that PS3 generation and through PS4. It's like, and we've talked about this before, but there's a seesaw. The one who gets his ass kicked has to get all the goodwill and has to get all the fan accolades, or what is the term? Fan loyalty. Yeah. Like, they have to build that back up, and it just seems so easy for Sony to do it. It's like, how is this not happening? But they know better than us
to keep it up. But
yeah,
I mean, you got to look at like what Nintendo did with the Switch and the Wii U, like what Sony did when the PS4 and the PS3. I mean, there's a lot of games that people didn't know on the PS3 that they were just like, oh, we'll just bring these over to PS4 and remaster them, And because a lot of people didn't play Uncharted, and a lot of people didn't play Last of Us, so a lot of it was no-brainers. I did, but I was mostly playing on Sony console that previous generation anyway. So, but yeah, I mean that these companies are going to do things. I don't trust any of these companies to keep up with any of this stuff. So I'm gonna be honest with you, unless there's a company that comes out and says that's what they do it for,
like,
and then we still got fucked over.
Damn.
Like Polymega, I still don't know when that's coming out. So. And that was the whole selling point on that, right? Play the shit you already own, Make it easy, make it accessible, make it,
create your library.
I'm not going to go into a whole spill about it. I paid them $500.
Here we go.
They have not said one thing on Twitter. It was supposed to come out at the end of February. We're almost here at the end of April.
We go. And again, we're bitching and moaning Sony this, Sony that. They're selling every single PS5 that comes out. It's selling, whether it's a legitimate sale or not. They're having no issue with. It's not like they're sitting on shelves.
So I'm going to leave it at this because the last thing I'm going to mention, I think Jason Schreier mentioned this on his article too, was it looks like this whole Last of Us remake, it looks like what they're trying to do is because you got to remember there's a Last of Us multiplayer still coming out from Naughty Dog. And I guess they're getting a rumbling. What they're thinking what's going to happen is that you're going to get a whole package with the Last of Us remake.
And the
multiplayer. And the Last of Us 2 on PS5. So I think that's what, there was no confirmation, but I think that's what Sony's thinking. I think that's why they're putting all this effort into the Last of Us remake on PS5. I think that's what they're going to plan on doing it. And then like, hey, you don't like Last of Us Part 2? Hey, we got the original one here. That has the multiplayer also. So
and they did it. They did it PS3 and the PS4 generation. We noted that you got that remaster, and that one sold a shit ton and introduced a whole new audience.
But it seemed like there was a whole lot of eye rolling at that announcement. Man, just like, really, they're doing a re-release or a remaster of the original already?
Yeah.
It was just kind of it seemed odd.
Again, you had Demon Souls. That was what, 2 generations back. So
yeah,
but
I mean,
a lot of people were clamoring for that.
Yeah,
that was a couple generations back.
Yeah,
it's just like a lot of people seem to be. It's like Brett says, a lot of people were satisfied with the remaster. The remaster, not the remaster on PS4. They're like, this is still a good looking game. This is still a good way to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Did we need this? But you don't want it, don't buy it, people.
Yeah,
it's the reason why they're doing
it. With your wallet.
Yeah. You want to teach Sony a lesson, and they don't. Right now, they say they don't believe in Game Pass. It's just they can't afford Game Pass. That's why. And they believe in blockbusters because that's how they make their money.
That's where they're banking right now.
They're not, unless secretly between me and you, if the smart thing for them to do is to increase the cost on PS Now, kept Japan Studio open, and put those top tiers of games on that service.
We thought that was going to happen.
But they also heard Richard's into these mobile games, and they put out a call for
MOBA.
They did put out a listing to hire somebody in order to adapt some of their IPs into mobile games is something I saw. So,
Brett, are you in class? Is the professor talking behind you?
That's not my house, is it? It's your house, Brent.
It sounds like we're doing this podcast inside like a professor's lecture or something like that. I'm sitting there like they're just lecturing in the back, and we're just going on about our
the whole time.
Yeah, Brett's over here like, I think
it might be a weather. Is it a weather alert, Brett? You might need to hunker down for cover. You might need to take cover. The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for the following counties. All right, next up, let's talk about games people do want to play but never got to, and also game preservation. A playable version of the canceled Castlevania Resurrection for the Dreamcast has surfaced. This would have been the first, not the first 3D Castlevania. This 3D platformer would have been the first appearance of Victor Belmont. This story comes from Polygon. The build is currently on eBay. The last time I looked at it was $16,000. Have you looked at it recently?
It's up there.
Because I asked Cesar, I was like, how much is in our Patreon funds? I thought I was...
I do know the current holder did back up the contents and has verified that it's not playable on a retail Dreamcast. I don't believe. I think you have to have a dev.
Prototype is a build predating E3 when it got a closed doors demonstration. Very linear. Simon Belmont through 2 of the 5 stages. The game was internally sabotaged by some people within Konami who had their own agenda. It would have been the first Castlevania game developed by Konami of America. But the PS2 launch in 2000 obliterated Konami's plans for Dreamcast games, Castlevania Resurrection included. Our last Castlevania game was 7 years ago? Fuck. That was the 3D one. Man, it's on a...
3D World?
Is that a developer disc? Like, how are they booting this thing? All Dreamcasts are dev systems. How is this not a dev system? I mean, how is this not a...
I do not know.
Castlevania Resurrection. My birthday in 1999, my 13th birthday is when this build was pressed to the disc. That's pretty cool. I'm just nervous about whoever this goes to is just going to seal it in a vault.
Well, like I said, the current owner has backed it up, and I think they're trying to work on a way.
I mean, there's ways to put patches on these things
to maybe make it playable, or and I think he said that he will eventually release the files.
That is good news.
So, but is selling the original disc.
I would think somebody just want the original disc, and I wouldn't care about the.
There's
other ways to play it online because it wouldn't hurt the value of that.
There are some people like that. Anyway, they'll buy that build and lock it up, and they'll be done. Shit.
Well, I mean, they've started selling like the viral videos, the original version of viral videos and crap. So
somebody did that with a Wu-Tang Clan CD. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, wasn't it? What that dude Martin Shkreli?
Yeah,
that bought that crap.
Martin. Yep, Martin. Martin Shkreli, One of a Kind Wu-Tang album, because Wu-Tang came out and like, hey, he paid the money for it. And
did he sit on it?
Sucks.
He didn't release it.
Yeah.
It's off eBay.
Nope. He still got it locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it says. Well, I don't know. The government will have to pick up. He has some issue with the government apparently. Pharmaceuticals is zagged out. I forgot about this guy.
Yeah, he's
a grade A tool bag. I remember this story.
This was the dude with EpiPen. I think what it was.
Yeah,
remember?
and how hiked up the prices of.
That's why I don't have.
Fuck this dude right off.
All sorts of stuff.
I think the last update was I think the government was gonna take it because they needed he had to pay back the money or something like that. And I think the Wu-Tang Clan was talking about trying to re-get it or something like that.
So I was watching that Dreamcast thing. They removed it from eBay. It's off eBay. It got up to $21,200, and then they pulled it.
Somebody must have made an offer. Yeah.
Please let this get out there.
That usually happens when somebody comes up with an X amount of dollars and they just take the bid down. That does happen.
Pay PayPal fees and all that stuff. They give it some private seller. All right, that is good and potentially bad news. I'm glad it exists, and maybe if it's not available for public release, maybe there'll be some gameplay footage somewhere. Somebody want to take this next one? Sony investing $200 million in Epic Games. From John Porter at The Verge.
Porterhouse.
It's John's Porterhouse.
Porterhouse.
I'm John Porter. Welcome to John Porter's house.
Yeah. So I mean, this. When was it? I believe it was last year, 2020. Sony invested, $250 million in Epic last year, and they are continuing their relationship with them by investing another $200 million in Epic Games. And I mean, this is just an ongoing partnership. And also, along with this, I did see that they're adding to Fortnite. They're adding Alloy from Horizon.
That is new news
to Fortnite, and they're doing, they're doing some kind of a crossover with like her and Lara Croft, and it'll be this big thing.
They both fought T-Rexes. So did Astrobot. I always want to say Astro Boy. It's not Astro Boy. It's an anime character.
Astro Boy may have also.
There's a chance. We need to have a stream of just games where you fight T-Rexes.
We're stopping right now. Everybody got to pause this and watch a 1960s version of Astro Boy. Yeah, not the remake they did on CG1. They did with that Taiwanese company, I believe. I think they did. They also did the Team NT. I don't want to take away Brent Thunder. My bad.
You're good. You're good.
But they also.
I mean,
T1.
This is
pretty good.
This is just the Sony CEO said, they're excited to strengthen their collaboration and bring new entertainment experiences to people around the world. I mean, Sony, when they showed off the PS5. The latest Unreal Engine was shown on
that real
first
cool
on
demo
PS5.
with the lady in the sand and the canyons and all that. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the fanboys fighting whether or not I could run another console. So I was like, "Come on, guys, please stop."
Fall Guys originally was PlayStation exclusive.
Mediatonic.
Of course, they've had several PlayStation characters on Fortnite now.
Yeah.
But of course, their Fortnite's kind of going to everybody at this point.
Big investment. The partnership continues.
Yeah, it's like you said. I think all it is if you look at deep in the article, I think what they made a point about saying was that whatever small investment they made and the valuation of Epic Games went up even more, so they made a nice chunk off of it. And even though it's a small percentage, that's why they're doing it again. They say it's a partnership, but it's just, I mean, they just see the value of Epic Games is going to go even higher. So you bet a certain amount of dollars, you're going to get a certain amount of dollars back. That's all it is. So it's not enough to do any controlling just whatsoever in that company. The pie. So.
And you get to shake hands on stage and have your logos behind each other.
Because no, what's funny? Well, right now at this point, Sony can't get a win because I know Brand, if you follow the news on you saw the government put a extension on that Crunchyroll deal.
Yeah, they all but put the kibosh on it.
I don't think. Well, the thing is weird because it's a lot of people are like, it's licensing. They don't actually own that stuff.
Yeah.
But the government is like, all right, we need 6 more months to look at this deal because they don't know how the market will be affected with Sony having a majority stake in streaming anime.
Yeah.
In the United States. So they were like, we need 6 more months. So it's usually not a good look if the Department of Justice is taking more time to look at it. It's a lot of people don't understand what they're looking at with this because it's like, it's weird. They're licensing this stuff and they don't actually own it. Because a lot of stuff that Funimation shows over here in Crunchyroll is actually shown in Japan on Netflix. Netflix owns a lot of anime in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the original studios own the stuff, but the licensing, nobody actually owns the licensing. They just paid X amount of dollars to license it. So technically anybody can, I mean, if Brent had enough money, he can go license something and release it himself. With anime, there's no
they're
stipulations
pivoting
on
to
it,
be the premier platform for streaming anime, not the owner.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so I think what Sony is trying to, and that, Warner Brothers wouldn't even go with this deal if it was going to fail. So that's why they always look at this stuff before they actually go through with it, and they're like the possibility of it going through it or not. So typically they won't merge unless they think it's going to fail. But essentially, what they're trying to say is like, it's a consolidation of a streaming service. So you're consolidating Funimation into Crunchyroll. It would be similar to like another streaming service consolidating.
Like a Hulu into a Tubi or something like that.
Right. Their concern is like how this would affect the anime market in the United States. But it's like, and a lot of people online were like, I don't really agree with this deal, but there are a lot of people like, this is kind of weird because like nobody, like Crunchyroll or Sony don't actually own any of that anime. It's like first come, first serve, or top dollar. It's like technically Netflix can go in there and pay all that money for all that licensing. And
they're just making it easy to get it in one place.
Nobody. Yeah. So I think their argument is it'd be more cost conscientious for most people because it'd be cheaper for me to have one service versus having 2 different ones. But I guess the Department of Justice is trying to see if they would somehow manipulate the market because they have the only dedicated anime service versus 2. Yeah. But I don't think they get any special deals. So there's not even that many Crunchyroll or Funimation exclusives. It's just a handful, maybe 10 each. But I don't think the United States is what they really care about. They really the bigness from that deal is to get Crunchyroll in Europe. They got a Crunchyroll in Japan. Sony doesn't have any streaming service in Japan at all. I don't really think they care about the United States. The whole reason why they're getting Crunchyroll is because Crunchyroll is more worldwide than Funimation is. Funimation's only in New Zealand, Australia, Brazil. I'm tired of people in Central America bitching at Funimation on Twitter about when they're going to eventually get Funimation. I think that's why they haven't pushed it out there yet. Because they would just get it out there if they got Crunchyroll. So same thing with Europe.
So it could benefit more people. It's just U.S. laws holding it up now.
Yeah, it's only U.S. is holding it up. I don't think any other nation's doing it because it's like Sony doesn't. It's like Sony doesn't want to build a streaming service around the world when you already have one that's out there. You just buy it. But they want it because it's subscription. So that would have been their version of Game Pass, the cheaper version of it. It's you get paid monthly for.
And those are smaller downloads than Game Pass. And you don't have to house all that data.
That was supposed to offset their costs for losing money on PlayStation. So that was one of the things that Sony CEO was trying to do. So
I wonder if that 6-month delay changes anything on the PlayStation side.
I don't know. We'll see. I just know that they were relying on that to help fend off some of their lost costs on the PlayStation hardware. So that was their portfolio for the year. So it's going to be a bad look if that deal doesn't go through.
What is PlayStation's? Nintendo was just like, give them Sunshine 64 and Galaxy all in one package. What is PlayStation's version of that? That they're sitting on, you think? Here, have this. Pepsi Man. A remaster of Pepsi Man. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
It's never going to happen.
I've never played it. I wouldn't mind having the opportunity to.
It's a remake of Croc 1 and 2.
Basically.
With brand new Croc 3.
Stuff we're not dipping back in.
Yeah, we're at the end of the day, we're not getting anything back. I mean, Sony gave us a chance with those PS2 remasters on PS4, and nobody bought those. Yeah. So some would argue like, hey, your selection sucked, but
I got several out of the
Nobody
good
bought them,
ones.
so
I didn't get all of them.
yeah. I wish that wasn't the case. There's a lot of vocal people out there, but nobody actually puts their money out there when shit happens, or they put their money out there when
Or
it's too
like,
late.
we
So
were bitching about the Nintendo Virtual Console. It was like the greatest thing for months and months and months, and then you got this bullshit trickle release. So, I
yeah,
mean, there's poor taste in people's mouths at a certain point.
I wouldn't. Why wouldn't Nintendo do it if they're making money off of it? So all that shit we give them, I'm just at this point, I'm over it. I'm not giving anybody any shit. I don't trust anybody. So that's yep. I try not to. I put I think on my Xbox console, I got the most digital copies out of all my consoles because that's the one I have hope that I won't get screwed over.
Preservation wise.
But outside of that, you never. We just need one bad CEO of Microsoft doesn't believe in gaming, and it's done.
Or the crazy theories like Don Matrick had. Do you believe in Platinum Games announcing a shoot 'em up for PS4, Switch, and PC?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Sure. I don't know, but could I play the original game on like a older console, like a Neo Geo? What was it on?
Neo Classic Arcade? No, what is this? This is part of the Neo Classic Arcade system.
Yeah, but this is a sequel to a game.
What is the original?
We haven't.
All right, the game in partnership with Hamster is Sol Cresta, a new title that inherits the spirit of classic shoot 'em up games Moon Cresta and Terra Cresta.
There you go.
That comes from Sao Romano at Gamatsu. I do not know anything about them, but shoot 'em ups are great.
I fall for them every time, so that and Back to the Future remasters the game.
And they also released a game on Apple Arcade called World of Demons. World of Demons is an action game, which comes as no surprise.
Huh? Not a MOBA.
Not a MOBA game.
Not a MOBA game.
Not a MOBA.
I imagine that name would have been MOBA name-ish.
Like a lot of hack and slash.
Yeah. Like a lot of
World of Demons. This looks really cool.
Apple Arcade too. There's two of the games I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. This was something they just kind of announced the game, showed it off, and then kind of dropped that, oh yeah, it's going to be on Apple Arcade. I guess it says it's an exclusive. I hope it's a timed exclusive because the art style is very akin to Okami.
I see the watercolor.
And it looks pretty freaking awesome. It's set in a fantastical world full of yokai, which are like Japanese folklore, like ghosts and demons and all these different things. So
sounds like something that should be in a game called Neo. I don't know if you should clarify.
This looks like Neo meets Okami. Oh my god, it looks amazing in motion.
So it looks like an amazing game. Let's see.
I didn't say it was. It was like 3 gigs.
I believe it is.
3 gig download.
It requires iOS 13.0 or later.
Specific, yeah.
And it is about 2.8 gigs. So and I believe it is out. Yeah.
I don't know. You have Apple Arcade. You should go search for it in your store. There you go.
A samurai's brush.
Please let us know.
I'll play this for you, Brant. Can I stream from Apple TV if I hook a controller to it?
You should be able to mirror on. If you have a mirror on.
I would play it natively on Apple TV because Apple Arcade plays on all those devices.
I think you can mirror it, or if you do it on Apple TV, you can hook up an HDMI and stream it. I've seen people do it. So,
damn, that looks good. Everybody, check that out. Next up, Sony now lets you store but not play PS5 games on external hard drives. There was an April update. This comes from Chaim Gartenberg via The Verge. The April update adds the long-awaited ability to store, but crucially not play, PS5 games on an external hard drive. PS5 only offers 825 gigs of internal, 667 usable. It's almost the devil's number, which means even just a few massive games can quickly eat up your SSD.
Or just Black Ops Cold War.
And then like one other title, one other 100 meg game. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can host those games. You can now host those games on the PS5 external drives, but you'll have to copy them to the internal SSD to play them because of the ultra high speed SSD playback. So I thought this was going to be like the official M.2 approved drives or whatever, but I guess that's coming in a later update.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
It's been rumored. I think it's. I believe it's hinted in this article that somebody at Bloomberg has said to arrive this summer is the to be announced thing that's going around. Is hopefully M.2 will be enabled this summer. But there's other goodies in this as well. I mean, they've that the play share ability that is on PS5, they've extended that to support for PS4 as well. And we're going to have to try this thing because they said that you can play a certain game on your PS5 and either with somebody that already has a PS5 or PS4, you can, show them what you're playing. You can virtually pass the controller over to them. Or if there's a second player option, you can basically boot them up as a second player in your game, and they can play from their console.
That sounds really cool.
There's also, new just features in the settings and things like that, like where you can turn HDR to where it just is automatically on if a game supports HDR, or 120 FPS is on if the game supports it that way. Because remember Cesar, he said he had to go through this whole rigmarole to get 120 FPS set up on his PS5 when he initially got it, because it's, and I think did you have problems with your Series X you had to do something weird in the settings too with that, or it just worked on the Series X?
It just works. I mean, you do Richard knows, you just do the initial scan. It's like, hey, this is compatible with yours, blah, blah, blah. And
the Xbox display settings are pretty damn good.
And then after that, whatever's built into the game, you can change that option on there. So,
but yeah, it was Call of Duty that you had that problem on PS5, where you had to
that was the only game where it told me like, hey, the option was grayed out and you couldn't do anything. It's like, hey, you need to go in there and manually change this to performance mode in the system hardware settings. Yeah, and before you could do anything, and then restart the game. I was like, this is dumb. I was like,
we're at PC gaming. This is PC gaming we're describing. You did not meet the minimum specs, Cesar.
Hey man, if I can afford the graphics cards, I would build me a PC.
They're so badass, but they're so expensive, and the scalpers are eating them up too.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's hard to get too. You think a PS5 is hard to get? Those new graphics cards are just about the same.
They were hard to get when people were getting graphics cards for Bitcoin, mining that. So I was like, now you just put out there even new graphics cards, a chip shortage,
dark times,
and and then a pandemic where everybody's at home. So you're paying the fucking price of a car for graphics cards now. It's like, do I get this Ford Fiesta, or do I buy this 1060 GTX that with 32 gigs of RAM? I was like, what is more poppable for my day? I'm not driving anywhere, so maybe I should just buy this graphics card.
We see the way you're leaning. We see which direction you're going.
Yeah, you know me. Don't get the car. That's future Cesar's problem. I'll worry about that later. Even though that seems like the right choice to make at the time.
Let him do.
Future Cesar's gonna be pissed at.
Let his selfish ass deal with it.
Like, damn it! Why did I put that off? And I've done that before at work. I'm like, it's future me's problem. Some people just looked at me weird. I'm like, I don't stress out about stuff, man. That's why I just
graphics card
problem.
All right, next up we have a PlayStation Now update. What did they add?
Don't tell me it's a version of a bad game that you have to grind.
Yes, Borderlands 3 is one of those titles.
No, that was just a magician's trick.
That's why we had fun with our time.
We had fun with our time in Borderlands 3.
I paid $10 for it, so I got my $10 worth.
Yeah, I got 2 copies of Borderlands 3 somehow.
I would go back to it with more people. That's that casual Destiny style shooter for people.
Yeah, I mean, me and you played that one day, and then you actually had the PS5 upgrade on there, and I didn't even got that far yet.
I wanted to test it out and see how it looks, and that's the best I've seen. That was already a good looking game on PS4 Pro. It's gorgeous on that.
Yeah, that's right, because that was one of the 120 frames one you wanted to try out. Because you're asking me, there was a mini on PlayStation and there was a mini on PlayStation to begin with, and out of the small group, I think that was the only one you had was 120 frames per second with Borderlands 3, right? And that one taught me
the PS5 upgrade purchase that you do. I'm assuming we're gonna have to do that with Final Fantasy 7, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought a native one, so I'll be all right.
But others will have to update their disc and add that way if they're not getting that, because that one doesn't come with the Yuffie content, right?
Yeah, which they haven't announced the price yet, but I'm hoping.
I think it's $20. I thought it got announced that it was 20.
Not yet. I think they're going to try to sneak that. I'm hoping for 29. They're going to sneak it in for 40. I think they're going to be sly. They're going to be like next gen pricing because this was only available on PS5, $40. I got a good feeling, but they haven't announced it yet now because I think they just did a whole spill on it not too long ago where they announced the VAs
what did they do with Spider-Man?
And somebody made a comment.
Set the precedence?
Spider-Man is not available outside of that Miles Morales collection. You have to buy the Miles Morales collection on PS5.
Which was what at launch? 70?
69 or 59. I can't remember what it was.
So maybe there is a precedent.
It was only available in that version. Yeah.
The last game coming to PlayStation now is The Long Dark, a thoughtful exploration survival experience that challenges solo players to think for themselves as they explore. There's no zombies, just Mother Nature.
But you also missed Marvel's The Avengers.
Is that the grindy game Cesar was talking about?
Yes. And while it is coming to PlayStation Now, they did say that it is just the base PS4 version. It will not have any of the PS5 enhancements. I actually think it leaves. I want to say it actually will leave PS Now before they get that big update to the it's available until Monday, July 5th.
Oh wow.
And I believe that's right before it gets that big update for PS5, yeah.
And before we go on, I looked it up real quick and Brent was right. It is $20. Okay. I missed that part.
But that's the other thing is it's next gen pricing because the updated version is set at that $70 price point. Comes with the DLC, correct?
Yes, and I think the Digital Deluxe comes with an extra weapon for Yuffie that's only available in that Digital Deluxe.
But, if you buy the PS4 version for $60, then you'd still have to pay $20. So that's how they're hoping to get people to upgrade at least to the PS5 version.
Path from the free PlayStation Plus version, right?
No. Path to Victory, guys. We know the name.
Unless you're like me, that you picked it up during this last Black Friday for $25, and I don't mind dropping another $20 on some DLC. That's still below MSRP for me.
That is true. All right, next up, Game Pass. You got your new titles for Game Pass. The big one there is MLB The Show. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a huge story this past week.
Saved me $70 because I had talked about playing the demo in here. I was like, I think I got to get this baseball game. Now, and then Cesar texts me. He's like, all right, looks like we're playing baseball and we don't have to pay.
Yeah, and I think, Richard, you mentioned that it was a MLB deal, and I think you were right. Nobody's actually covered it online, but somebody read an article where Sony was forced to do it because MLB was the one that decided to take that deal. So
I know MLB is trying to grow the brand. I'm a big baseball fan. I would not say I'm a big MLB fan. And there's some decisions they've made that are head scratching. They still have weird TV blackout issues. They still have
all sports have weird.
They do baseball
issues on
Baseball's extra shitty for some reason. Players can't post their own highlights
unless it's on ESPN.
Players have issues posting their own highlights and like sharing highlight reels and stuff like that. It's just it's not consumer or team friendly. But I think all the other, correct me if I'm wrong, Cesar, if you get like the NBA season pass or whatever, you can still watch your hometown teams, right? If you can't do it, so it does black those out. Okay, so it does suck for.
No, and that was a correction from last time. I don't know if I talked about it on here. You're right. I think for me to get it on my phone I was using the VPN. I wasn't even paying attention. I'm just so used to doing it. I was just turning it on. But they are subjected to blackout dates as well as whatever the local regional deals are. That's the problem. Because you got Sinclair that owns all the
Valley
regional networks now.
Bally Sports, whatever it is.
Yeah. Did they finally rename it? I know they were trying to they were supposed to change.
It's on
the
the screen, but it's not on the app. I still boot the Fox Sports app.
I think when I read online was that eventually they're having their own streaming service. I think that's when the name change is going to take effect. So because I think that works too.
Valley Fitness.
I think because that also works. I think they're having a war right now with all the streaming services because everybody has pooled their sports. They weren't paying that money they wanted for it. So.
But you'll get MLB The Show, which is surprising, but again, money talks. I know this is what I was getting around to. I think MLB has looked at over the past couple of years because 2K bought the exclusive baseball first party or third party publisher rights way back in the day, right after EA got Madden. But that didn't stop first party publishers from making their own games. So Nintendo could still make one, Microsoft could make one, that, and the other. So for a long time, that was the only baseball game on Xbox console because MLB just kept MLB The Show, I should say, was Sony San Diego, I think, and they just kept making that first party one for Sony because it was underneath that agreement. But 2K got worse and worse and worse, even more so than they have with like hockey and wrestling and things like that, and it just got to be awful. And I don't know that one came out last gen on Xbox One. Was there a MLB 2K on Xbox One?
I don't think so.
No, I think 360 was the last one. Ever since Take-Two bought that studio.
Yeah, because it wasn't Visual Concepts Sega anymore, or the people in Visual Concepts left to go do something else. So I'm super happy for this. I think everybody should. This is the best baseball sim out there. This is the Madden of baseball. So the more people that get to experience it, it was huge that it's coming to Xbox, and then it's massive that it's coming to Game Pass. That's insane. I know 2 people that canceled their digital pre-orders on Xbox and picked up Game Pass subs, and it's going to do that to a lot more than just 2 people to be able to play this baseball. Because go ahead, Cesar.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, they're at that point now in Game Pass. It's like I told you, they got that service up and running. You got to get those big game exclusives like that, and what was the Outriders. They're at that point now where they're doing this one new release a month now.
And
looks like
we've all worked retail or been close enough to retail to know that some people only play these games. They're only going to play. They had a PS2 and they played Madden and GTA, and like they had these set titles that they would get, the wrestling game every year or Tiger Woods or something. So to have these annual franchises, a big one like that, and the premier baseball game is massive news.
Hey, just look at Game Pass. It has almost every version of a sports game on there now playable. So.
And it includes EA Play, and that was a big get that I think is going to end up playing out later in the future.
That's why they got EA Play. So. Because I mean, you got Madden on there now. You got FIFA, NHL. And then NHL just dropped on.
And is that 2K NHL? No, that's the EA one. Oh. Yeah, because that's through EA Play. You're right. You get 2 Kinect games. I'm not sure how those are going to work. It just says Cloud. You've got Rain on Your Parade. You've got Pathway, not Path to Victory, like Cesar says. Zombie Army Dead War 4, which we just got on PlayStation Plus. And the big one, I think this is going to be huge too, is Grand Theft Auto 5. That's another one of those big titles. We see it selling every month, and that's going to convert to, hey, go ahead and get Game Pass. You'll have this game and all these other ones. So
it's coming back because it was on there before.
Right before Red Dead, right? Yeah. Red Dead DOS?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember which one was on there. I just remember it was GTA, and then the next I think it was on there for a couple months and then went to Red Dead.
MLB The Show 21 is day and date with launch April 20th. 4K 60 frames per second on the new series consoles. It doesn't seem like it's taken any of a hit with PS5, right? It's probably not the lead platform, but it seems like it's they did a showcase on it, and it still seems like a great build. You also get cross-platform play with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 players. There's some more touch control games coming to the cloud-enabled ones, including Sea of Thieves, Gears 5, Dragon Quest 11, Slay the Spire, and many more. Dragon Quest 11, I can see. I'm not playing Gears 5 with touch controls. I'm sorry.
Some it's out there for whoever wants it. Somebody can do
chainsaw.
It. Like this on the screen. It's a weird ass claw thing.
Okay, you knocked the claw. I had a good friend of mine. He actually did our theme song. He designed our theme song for us. He had a claw for Mega Man X, so he would loop his index finger down over the jump and slide on the Super Nintendo controller, and then had fire. So he would rotate. He would just rock his finger back and forth, and then he would jump with a friend of the show, Joel. You probably remember him, Cesar, from years and years ago. He would do this for Mega Man X.
There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'm not dissing the claw.
It's crazy in action.
It's on there. Hey, it's whatever works, man. Whatever it takes you to play the game. I can't say shit because I can't. The only thing I can do on Mega Man X is get all the stuff so I can just do the Shuriken, and that's it. I'm like, all right, I did my part. Never beat the game. I just all right, got everything.
And you do touch an important point there. We're laughing about touch controls for Gears. This is going to work for somebody. For someone who needs those accessibility options, it's going to work for them. We laugh because we can use controllers, but the truth of it is, it just makes it more accessible for everyone.
That, or there's some people out there who can't afford controllers, so it's gonna it's a cost thing too.
I wonder what that percentage of Game Pass customers is just cloud on their Android phone. They're just pulling those down and playing somehow. That is a market. I wonder what that percentage is.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be their moneymaker. I mean they're not gonna be locked to the Xbox console, so they're gonna be trying to get that thing as many hands as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised at the end of this generation that more people are playing Game Pass on everything but an Xbox console. So yeah,
isn't it funny? Like we were barreling down into this generation and we had two very similar boxes, same price, similar performance, and then it was just like. We thought we knew what these platforms were going to do, and already 6 months out, we have these two totally different shakeups. This is just the fun part to watch and see. In case you missed it, Octopath Traveler, some DLC for Gears 5, Grounded, and Halo Master Chief Collection Season 6 started. I've already started unlocking some of that shit. We
all know you were.
Oh! EA Play on console gets you Madden 15, 16, 17, 18, 25, and NHL 18 and 19. Not the NHL 15 that Cesar and I played at the midnight launch of Star Wars Battlefront.
That was surprisingly not that bad.
See the cat.
Who? I don't know who the goalie was still.
See that cat slinking through there? Bushy-tailed ass. Yep. He's a good cat, though. All right, last but not least... Someone else take this. I'm tired of talking. I saw Cesar go to the Richard talking screen.
I'm already there.
Pac-Man's going Battle Royale.
100 Pac-Man drop on an island.
99 Pac-Man
99?
drop on an island. Only one can... Yeah.
Following in the highly successful footsteps of Tetris 99 and Mario 35.
Yes, it's in the same vein where... You have 99 players all playing their own individual games of Pac-Man. And you're all competing to out-Pac-Man each other.
Alpaca.
Who can be the best in the pack.
Man-Pac.
And this actually, I mean, it does look pretty interesting. It's kind of... it looked like it has about the same mechanics as the other two games as well, where you can choose to target and attack certain people with, the lowest score or highest score or that kind of deal. And it's, as you're going along, there's these transparent little ghosts on the level, and you go through and you chomp a bunch of those, and they will go appear on your screen along with your other ghosts. And I guess the goal is to eventually get one of the big power pellets on your screen and turn around and just munch on as many of those ghosts as you can and send them to other players and just screw them over, because it'll load them up with
it's trash,
with all
right?
sorts
Isn't
of
that
ghosts.
what they call it, like from Tetris and Puyo Puyo? Is that the term? You're sending trash. That's what I always called it. Okay.
Trash, yeah.
Sure.
But I do know that
munching on those ghosts.
You get this game.
That's the hook right there.
With Nintendo Online, but there's also a paid content
17 DLC
which
packs?
includes 17 DLC packs for $14.99, and there's a deluxe pack for $29.99, and I think it includes different some different play modes and a few other things. But I mean, I don't know about spending an additional 14 or 29 on this game. I could see booting this up and playing it. I haven't yet.
If they put on a card,
that's the next point I was going to make, because I played a pretty good bit of the Tetris one, and then when they came out with that physical cart, remember, it was $20, and you got a year of the Nintendo Online. So if they make that, and I just used that one recently, so if they make this one, if they do that and throw that same thing in there, I'm down for that too. Pac-Man 99. Is anybody good at Pac-Man? I get to the same stage, it seems like, and it's just
I'm good on the cherry stage
specifically.
Yeah.
Which is the first stage,
also
right?
played more Miss Pac-Man than anything. That's my bad Pac-Man impression.
There's only one Pac-Man game I care for.
Pac-Man World Rally.
It might be.
That World of Demons. The World of Demons game icon looks like shit. It
looks bad.
Well, the icon looks okay. The abbreviation underneath it just says WOD in lowercase.
Oh, wow.
I found it.
There we go. Sequel. I have like 9 copies of that on Super Nintendo if anybody wants one.
Pac-Man
you have
2.
a bunch of... I think I gave you one, Brant.
Oh, I don't know.
All right,
maybe.
begin tutorial stages. I just fired up this World of Demons to see if we could see like any cool artwork in the intro or anything. It kind of looks like the watercolor from Demon Slayer too, right?
A little bit.
It's not good. This is how I'm going to stream games from now on.
Oh no! All I see is the glare and then some color fading.
Audio content at all. Loading screen.
Yeah, Richard's holding an iPad in his hand.
I'm worried this iPad's gonna.
We can see ourselves.
I can see my own reflection in the iPad. Now I'm seeing some kind of weird.
Swipe in a direction to move.
And then Richard's molesting the screen with his index finger.
Ooh.
Not tapping, he's molesting. He's touching the character.
I have a 5th generation iPad, so maybe there's some jank in there.
Yeah, we see you jerking it off.
It looks kind of choppy. Oh, look at that guy.
Oh.
All right, I might play this with a controller.
So let's say, yeah, you might want to controller.
But I have been playing 2 other Apple Arcade games. Perfect segue. The first one I've tried is Fantasian, the Mistwalker RPG. I'm not playing with a controller. Like I said, it was kind of raining the place where I was at, and I had my Switch, but I was like, let's go ahead and try this. I've kind of been putting it off. It's a typical RPG. Your main character has amnesia to start with. He has no clue where he's at. He's in this factory, and he's with 2 companions one companion that has trying to tell him, like, you brought us here. How come you don't know how to get out? It's turn-based. The cool thing is that it plays really well with touch. To move around the map, you just select where the guy goes, and it moves pretty good. And on a Super Nintendo RPG or something where your screen wouldn't scroll and it would just go straight over, they do really cool, or PS1 games where it would have to reload that background in the next screen and your character would be somewhere crazy. It does a real cool transition where it may change that same viewpoint, but then your character will be accurately represented, and the tap interface actually works pretty good, unlike a Resident Evil where you have the tank controls where forward may work for this screen, but then all of a sudden you're going to be facing another direction, So I'm in the opening
Right.
area. It's like a factory. You choose your attacks by touching them, and you slide to the enemy that you want to attack. So I thought that was actually really cool. Um, it's got a good defense system. Like you buff your characters. It's pretty much mandatory with that factory because there's a boss that you fight. It's not even a boss, it's like a mini boss with a laser. And if you don't have that thing, it's gonna just destroy you. So they teach you to kind of buff up. So I don't know if that's gonna maintain throughout the game or not. Music's done by Uematsu. The couple themes I've heard are pretty good. There's no battle theme. It's almost like the intro to Final Fantasy VII or something, where you just kind of you're playing along and the same themes are playing the same background. So I don't know if it gets there or not. I was gonna come back to that one, and I downloaded Clap Hands Golf on Apple Arcade. Clap Hands is the studio behind the Hot Shots games, and this is the best one of the Hot Shots games. This is worth having an Apple Arcade subscription for all by itself. Cesar mentioned nobody bought Everybody's Golf. I know everyone here at least bought Everybody's Golf, if not also bought Everybody's Golf VR. Cesar's reaching for his copy of Days Gone.
I wish. It's so deep in that corner if I'm ever going to do it. I would literally, you would have to see like my whole body cover the camera to get Days Gone. Is it worth it? I don't know. I would rather get Data Live.
No, you're good. We don't need any proof.
Gone.
So Clap Hands Golf.
No, let me get Data Live. Let me get some Aragi on the screen.
Take down. It's coming. I'll frame it. So these Clap Hands Golf, Hot Shots Golf, you always get zany characters. You get unlockable like hats and skins and clubs and dresses for your characters and shoes and things like that. A cool thing that I've noticed with this one and the whole theme behind Clap Hands Golf seems to be like everybody can golf. So you've always had zany characters, but you play as a team. So each person plays a particular hole. So I haven't done an 18-hole course yet. I've done 3, 6, and for some reason I think I've done an 8-hole round, which is not typical golf. But you select. So if you have a par 3 and you have somebody who doesn't really like beam it, you select that character that hits the shorter shots, and you put them in that slot, and you slide up and kind of fill out your deck. It's a damn RPG. So you're loading up your squad before you take them out to the golf course. And you can see some when you have there's boss battles that'll randomly pop up. I don't know what trips them, but it's like they're just looming on the map waiting for you, and you can see kind of what their strengths are and what they're going to be able to do with it and stuff like that. But I've struggled with Hot Shots golf games in the past with like having that touch of spin and things like that. And the touch interface fixes that because you're able to like physically track it with your finger. And it is so freaking good. It's the same like when you hit a perfect shot and you hear that bing and you see the music note go off, and it's good, man. This is a brand new Hot Shots. It's awesome. And you level up the characters so they get better and better, and the more you use them, the better they get. From what I've noticed, when you get a new character, they start at 1. So it's almost like, okay, here we go. I've got level 5, level 4. I got to throw you in there somewhere and bring you up. But, if you win that round, they'll level up pretty quick. The mobile trappings, and Apple Arcade is known for, I just discovered this, there's no like DLC or microtransactions or anything. Like they're not trying to get anything extra out of you. The mobile trappings that I've seen in this, or I guess I phrased that incorrectly. The pacing of this is a star credit. So if you play a 3-hole course, you'll get 3 stars, and that levels up your total level. And it starts at 8 and then 16 and that kind of stuff. So you'll have to play different type courses to level up your overall like golfer score or whatever they call it. So then that will unlock new tournaments and things like that. I've played nude tournaments. I've played regular tournaments. I've played match play. I've done like a driving competition. So that one's interesting because the 2 I've done have been against my own character. So it's like a shadow version of my character and you actually unlock a different outfit. It's cool how they do it because you'll have to outdrive this character over an aggregate of 3 drives. And then if you beat that same character that you have, you get that skin that they're using. You get that outfit, which is really cool. But this is just, the production values are through the roof like all the Everybody's Golf games are. It plays super smooth. When you strike the ball down the fairway and it lands, you see that track like you always do, and then you see them like hauling ass down the fairway. It's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. I ended up playing. The Masters was on this past weekend, and we're in Georgia, of course. And like I said, I was stuck in from the rain, and I ended up playing probably a solid 2 or 3 hours of clap hands golf. And it is not a battery sink. Like I said, I have a 5th-generation iPad, and it performs super smooth. And I lost like 20% over the course of those hours, so it's not just sitting there just tearing up my iPad. Played some Halo. Same stuff with Halo. That new season rolled over, so there's new unlockables. They have a new thing now called the Exchange. So you can actually spend your points in this rotating, almost like a rotating store, where they'll let you get a what exchange? Yes,
Microsoft Exchange.
You have to set up an Exchange client.
Put in your username and password, and hope it doesn't disconnect from the server.
You derailed me. I have no clue where I was at. So it's like it's a rotating store because you've never been able to purchase. You have like the regular seasonal stuff, but this stuff rotates weekly, and it'll give you stuff that has been in previous seasons that you may not have gotten a chance to get to, and it offers those for the same the Halo bucks that we talk about. So just another incentive. This season is based off Fireteam Raven, which is the arcade game that Cesar and I and Russell tried playing at that Halo event almost 2 years ago.
They didn't do the .A one yet? Have we done that season yet?
Yes, they did do that one. They did RA season. ODST.
Already?
It was called Recon.
Shit, did I miss that? ODST? They recon the story?
Not recon the story or Nathan Fillion. But this is based off of that arcade game. Memorably, we went down to Orlando. Like, we didn't want to go to Dave & Buster's and spend $20 a piece to play this Halo 4-player thing and play all the way through it.
So we spent more money
to
go to Orlando.
It was there. We got in line and we were like, okay, we'll just beat this. And they kicked us off the machines in like 5 minutes.
No, sir. My story is we paid all that money, the plane ride and everything, and convention money to play that one game that you could only play for 5 minutes. Which I don't think I played at all.
You didn't get in the arcade line and play it? Me and Russell got booted?
No, because I went somewhere, and by the time I came back, they
were 2-man cabinets. So. The ones we've seen up here are 4-man. This was like a 2-man build. I guess to get more of them down there. Yeah, that part kind of sucked. And then we played Reach on PC, which didn't come out for like another year, it seems like. It was like a beta.
Yeah, that computer Reach on PC was making me reach into my keyboard. I was trying to figure out how to build the grenades. It was like T or something like that.
We're learning mouse and We're learning mouse and keyboard the whole time.
I'm saying, because I couldn't. I don't know.
Those are my titles: 2 Apple Arcade games, which I'm just now taking advantage of: Fantasian and Clap Hands Golf, and the most recent.
Every time we say clap hands, I'm like, clap your hands.
Off. And Halo Master Chief Collection Season 6, I think this is Raven. So it's got a new like splash screen and all that has those Fireteam Raven characters that are concurrent to the first Halo game. But that is all the games I've played. How about you, gentlemen? It's usually Cesar.
It usually is me on here.
Are you gonna try to play us DMCA Strike Down Music?
No, that was a go. I can't remember what it was called, but there's one. Everybody clap your hands. It was an old like 70s song or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
The Cha-Cha Slide.
That might be Cha-Cha Slide, yeah. That's also in that version too. Mine's easy. The majority of what I did within the last 2 weeks was watch anime. So
not much to catch up on. I saw no trophies unlocked for you. I saw no PS5 shares for you. Yep.
Yeah, you can confirm. I think the only thing I'll do my gaming bit. I've got almost 100 hours in Persona 5 Royal. I went ahead and went through 2 more palaces. The ones that I went through was Futaba's Palace, which is a character that you get on your team, which kind of changes the dynamics of the game because normally you would do what they would call a sealing of hearts for people who were deemed evil or bad. This was the first time somebody who wasn't bad or done anything bad. They were just mostly destructive against themselves. And once you steal this person's heart, it was like she was like a hikikomori where she's locked herself in a room and just felt that she was going to die there. Yeah. and just felt like they were going to die, and because of the consequences of like her mother dying previously before, where she had nothing to do with it, but she was kind of just grieving through it and was not, and you kind of help her go through that process. Outside of that, she'll join your team afterwards. The next palace after that is the Kumara Palace, which was the CEO for I guess their version of Burger King or something like that. It's like Big Bang Burgers. And he uses his employees. He gives them no breaks. He's all the overtime, free overtime, or whatever he needs for greed. He was like the symbol of greed. That was the one where they kind of changed the story, because at the end of it, when you change his heart, they left, and then somebody came in after them. The villain and the true antagonist of this story came in and shot him and killed him. If you kill somebody in that metaverse, they die in real life. So it just so happens that he was the father of one of the characters who joins your team later on as well. So that adds another dynamic to the story. I don't really go too much into the palaces in this game, because this is the second time I played it, and I usually complete the palaces in one go. Majority of my game is spinning throughout the days, because they give you usually a time limit, like, hey, you have 2 weeks game wise, not in real life, to complete this palace, or it's game over. Typically I'll just go through there and do it in one day, and then majority of my time is just doing the social aspects of the game, either building relationships with certain characters or doing random bullshit like playing pools or billiards or whatnot. It's however you want to play. You can play it the way you want to play it. When I played it this time, that seems to be the direction I'm going.
I don't mean to backtrack or cut you off. The character that died, was that a decision you made, or that's something that just plays out in the story? How did that? Okay,
that's just part of the story. Yeah. Everything's part of the story now, because I mean the whole part of the focus of the story is like this, like these kids who come across a way where they're able to use these personas in the metaverse, which is kind of like a cognitive ability of people of how they perceive themselves. It can either be good or bad, and they just go through and they decided that the what they quote the shitty adults that are taking advantage of mostly kids or other people, they would change their hearts, and so essentially they would locate their treasure, threaten them with a calling card to make it appear, and then they would take it, and this in turns would cause that person to confess their crimes and admit their guilt and then repent. So it's something and it's the whole classic story where they started out small and then they got big, because everybody online was like telling like, take this person's heart, this person's bad, this blah blah blah, and then it's a fall from glory right now, because after that person has died, that character has died, that villain has died. Now you're getting the fall down of it, the fallout of it, basically. Not the Fallout Boy, but the fallout of it.
Fallout New Vegas, as Brant said.
Yep. Thanks for the memories. So now they're like public enemy number one and all that stuff. Now you're going from the top to the bottom. It's like that kind of roller coaster of a story, and then you're getting the idea of who the true antagonist of the story is right now, and that's where it's leading towards. I'm right now just got into the Nijima Palace. There's only 2 more after that, and the game's done. So I got like 80 hours. I'll just say 80 hours. So I'll probably got about another 20, and I'll be done. So it'd probably take me about 100 hours to beat it, which is about how long it took me to beat the first one. So the original one. That is the majority of what I played. I mean, the only other thing I talked about is I did pop in Tony Hawk on PS5 and played that remastered for a little bit
and everything.
It looks good, and I changed it to the performance one. Performance one is where it's at. It does a pretty good job, man. It's nice. Right? Yeah, or like 1440p or some weird shit. I know. I think it's a higher resolution on Xbox. I think it's a little bit lower on PS5. Because I think Xbox is like 1800p. It wasn't full 4K, but it was like 1800p, 120 frames, or something like that. I don't remember the math to it. The frame rate's nice. It's smooth. I didn't play too much of it. I think I just went through the tutorials and whatnot, because I was like, I have all these fucking games. I got the free PS5 upgrade that I haven't done. Claim them at all. Which I probably should, because who knows, one day I'll be like, hey, nobody's claiming these, let's get rid of them. So, I'm not going to say who would say that.
I did my part for, almost said Bulletstorm. I did my part for Borderlands.
Yeah. I got to do Borderlands still, too, as well. I got to do Yakuza Life Like a Dragon. I got a whole bunch. Literally, I just got to pop the disc in there and unlock it. I need to. It's just mundane, and it just requires me to sit there and install shit.
It's in the menu. It's in the disc menu, so it's right there on that first screen. It was just, when I did Borderlands, it was trying to find it, but you do one, and then you'll know.
Yeah, The Activision ones I give them credit for because at least I pop the disc in there and it doesn't automatically copy. It just stops there and it gives me the copy button like I did that for Crash. It doesn't automatically start installing in there. I think I fucked up with Crash and hit copy instead. So when I did Tony Hawk in there, it's like, hey, copy. But then it pops up to the right like, hey, to let you know, my bad. To let you know that there's a digital upgrade. Click here to get it. So I don't know if it's something they fixed. I'll find out once I throw on Yakuza, maybe because this is after the update, maybe. So maybe this is it's still not easy, but it was more direct on like, hey, you pop this PS4 game in the PS5 and there's an upgrade available. I'm not going to install it. Do you want to get this upgrade? And then you can tell it to install if you're not. So,
they give you the choice to not use the key, which is good. Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, we'll see what happens when I do the other ones. I don't know. That might be a fluke. That may be something they fix with Tony Hawk. I don't know. People are weird. Outside of this, I played this called Poison Control on PS4. I got it on Switch also. Because I've been getting burned on Switch games, dropping up to $120. So I was like, fuck it, let me get that too. I'm hitting everything. So that one's a little bit different. I'll probably put an hour into it. That one's one of those indie type games that Nipponichi Software in Japan had made. From what I can gather in it, you play as a boy who goes to hell and gets killed immediately in hell. Again,
it's not a good
I don't know how you
combination.
die twice, but you die twice in this game apparently. From some kind of I think it's like a clasp or clasp. I can't remember what it was. Like sucked the blood out of him and gave this clasp or whatever it was a life form, which turned into a girl. And so now they share one body. So you can kind of like switch in and out between this guy and girl lingo, and it's like a dungeon-based crawler type game where it loads up a level, and the gentleman shoots kind of like Mega Man. He has like an arm that shoots like bullets out of it, and you can aim basically. And the shots are made with the trigger buttons, so you have to use analog and kind of like aim with the trigger and shoot one to hold, one to shoot. The other one is the girl. When the girl takes over, she runs out the body and she runs over like these poison areas, and she kind of like clean. It's like you run over them and then she jumps back in the body and she takes those areas with her. It's like that aspect where you have to go back and forth between depending on the level, and it goes and the difficulty increases where you have to get that poison puddles and then the enemies spawn on there, so you got to switch back and forth quickly. The gentleman with the arm, you can name him anything you want. I think I gave him my name on there, so that's why I'm just going to call him the main character in here. Let's call it the protagonist. The protagonist basically you're basically, like I said, you're basically just going through this game, and each level is like what they call a soul from the normal world gets taken into hell, and you have to kind of get it back into the normal world because they're not really dead. It's like they're falling to a moment of despair. Like the first level was like a girl who, for whatever reason, didn't want to disappoint her mom and wanted to burn whatever was the disappointment that was going to disappoint her. But then she went overboard and was like, I'll burn the school down and all that stuff. And you had to like kind of convince her not to do that and take the lighter away from her. And then once you did that, I completed the level. So it's like apparently the whole thing is like you get these stamps for doing so many things in this game. So I think the story basis is that after you get 5 stamps, you get a gateway to heaven to go to heaven and make any wish you want. So part of the deal was that the girl that inhabits your body wants to get to heaven, and then she would make the wish for him to return back to the human world. So that's the thing that's going on right now. So I just did the first level. That's what the first level was about. I haven't started the second one. The second one's like another they call Bell of Hell, where you have to do something else and save another soul, like basically.
Where you're fixing these problems.
Basically, that's what it kind of reminded me of when you're forcing people to change what they're doing. Yeah, so I mean that's how. I mean it's interesting. It's quirky. It's very weebish. It's that shit I play and live for sometimes. So I'll go through it. It might be too out there. If people don't enjoy anime, you probably won't enjoy this type of thing because it's very anime-ish. That's why I say weebish. Yeah, basically, this could have been made into an anime versus playing this. Some people might argue like, I don't want to play this. Just put it in an anime. I would watch it. Yeah, I mean, that's everything I played. I'm going to end on the note is that the majority of my time was watching anime. I think I finally caught up with Brant, and I sat there and watched 25 episodes of ReZero straight. I was like, finally, it's time. and this is what I live for.
How
this
long are
moment.
those episodes?
Like 30 minutes each, probably.
Yeah.
So it was a good 12
It's a
hours
marathon.
probably that I sat there and we just flew through them. Hey man, I knew I was gonna do it. I didn't want to be in waiting every week and suffering. That was not.
Did it hold up to your expectations?
So. Yeah. I mean, we're almost caught up in the books. I mean, they're in the light novels. There's only 2 more arcs that are ahead of us. So the next arc is the what that game was based off, which is the Selection Committee, and that's a small light novel book. And I think they could probably do that in the movie. But the one after that is the one they just finished up in October of last year, and that's the one that Brent probably wants to get into because that's the one where they get Ren back. So, and then we get the 2-year time skip. So, and everybody's like 2 years older. A lot happens in that arc that comes up. So, because I think at the end of it, like Rem's like 20, like everybody jumps up. And he just started a new arc, I think, November. So that we probably get a 3rd season and nothing after that for a while. Versus somehow we haven't got a 3rd season of Konosuba, but the guy who created Konosuba in his new light novel, the anime they're showing right now in Funimation right now. I was like, how the hell we get this and not get a 3rd season of Konosuba, and we already got his new anime already on there. Which is funny because if you haven't seen it, Brent, there's a Konosuba reference in the 2nd episode.
Oh my gosh!
Where they find I think Megumin does one of the voices of the characters in that show too, and so they find like an armor tank sitting up there, and it was like a direct fucking quote from Konosuba. Like, what is that monstrous thing? It's like that was used on the war before in the demons. I was like, oh god, this is straight out of Konosuba. It was a little nice jab they put in there. Yeah, it's neither here nor there because I think I blew through that. I finally caught up on Mushoku Tensei, and then I'm getting my heart destroyed with Attack on Titan. So it hurts me physically. You have this main character who was the hero of the show that he's basically become like the Batman Joker-ish thing at the end of it, where he's the villain. So he lived long enough to see himself become the villain. And now you just see this train going out of control. And I got an idea what's going to happen, but because we have to wait for part 2 to come out in January of next year for the final season. And I think the manga's already done. So you could look up and see what happens at the end of it already now, because they finished the manga April 9th, 5 days ago. It took a while, but yeah, it's like at this point
reactions in my Twitter circle.
Yeah. It's rough. I think I know what he's doing, and it's like the same thing with Mushoku Tensei, if you remember, Brant, where that Superb, where everybody hates him. Like they spent all these 400 years and everybody hates him. It's the same thing with Attack on Titan. It's like, how do you save those people? Like you have literally people that are bred hundreds of years to hate these people the Eldians who can control Titans. I secretly think, I don't know for a fact, but I secretly think he split off from the Eldians to become the villain, to unite everybody just against him, so he can be the bad guy. And I think at the end of it, he's gonna die, take the sacrifice. That way, everybody can reunite, and he's just gonna play the villain. It's like the very Batman-ish thing ever. Like you're the hate for what the world needs, and you just sacrifice yourself for it. That's the route it's going through there, because it's the point he's killing everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. He's killing his own people now. It's like you don't know what he's doing, but that's the impression that I'm getting now. And it's not a Mighty Mighty Boss Tone song.
We've already done that bit. We can't do it again.
I'm always going to do the Mighty. I'm always going to do ska bits.
Like
I'm sorry.
50 shows ago. We might be safe to whip it back out.
Yeah. He's out there waiting on the set of Jimmy Fallon. Like, I'm taking that fucker down. Got his ass. Go, strike.
He leans in.
Yeah, got him. Yeah, got him. Got his ass. I'm not going to linger. I'll let Brent go on from here, but that was a majority of my time.
Brent.
Oh yeah, and Danmachi season 3. Did you watch Danmachi season 3, Brent?
Mm-mm.
And I binged all 12 episodes of that as well. So that was a majority of my time. Sorry, everybody. That was my TED Talk and anime.
Join us next week.
I hope you enjoyed it. I will binge more for you all.
I finished Ori and the Blind Forest. Gosh, at this point, 10 days ago. It's like, damn, that's a good ass game. That's a good ass game, man. For a story to unfold, I mean, without there is a little bit of story bit in the game, and
Go into that Ori lore.
Yeah.
Go into that Ori lore.
You get some dialogue and some text and everything, but the majority of the game's story is just told by the world itself and your interaction with this whole world. And it's something to experience if you enjoy a good Metroidvania or action platformer with definitely some difficult platforming bits, but is solid through and through. Like great gameplay, great musical accompaniment. Everything about this game, the style, everything just meshes so well, and it is a great game. And I've heard it they take it up even more in Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
If you're
So
jumping straight
eventually,
into number 2.
no, I wanted to, but I mean, I talked about it 2 weeks ago. How I have never played a Persona game. I behind Cesar, he played Resident Evil, and then a couple of weeks later, I played Resident Evil.
You gotta watch out for
I didn't
him.
want to. I didn't want to copy you 100%, and I probably will play Persona 5 at some point since we got it in that PlayStation Plus collection deal. But I did pop in Persona 4. Well, I didn't even have to pop it in. It's been sitting in my Vita for, I don't know, probably a couple months with me contemplating starting it. And I finally started Persona 4 Golden. It plays amazing on the Vita. I'm enjoying it pretty thoroughly. I mean, from what I've seen, aside from a few select Persona games, most of them seem to be like you can just pick up and start a new story. You don't really have to play some of the older games. So I picked up Persona 4 Gold, and I've heard a lot of good things. And it's pretty good. For anybody who hasn't played, you play as a Japanese high school student. You get transferred from a large city to kind of a rural town, and immediately, I mean, there's this kind of mystery. It's almost like a murder mystery.
I say somebody gets murdered right off the rip, right?
Yeah. And you and your new friends from school, you start, kind of investigating because it's a small town. People are closer knit. A lot of people know each other. The first person that winds up murdered is also from outside the town, but then another murder happens, and it's somebody who witnessed the first murder, but she's from the small town, and because of that, one of your new friends knew her, and there's this whole connection. And from everything I've heard about Persona games, it's all about your social links. And from what I've played, your overall power, your personas and things like that come from different connections, relationships, and links with all these people that you meet. And depending on how you interact, what kind of relationship you have with them, those bonds strengthen. Your personas get stronger. You can have different abilities tied to that. And you eventually wind up going, due to this lore of the Midnight Channel,
sucked into the TV,
is what they say in this game. Is like the kids start talking about it at school, where if you look into your TV at midnight when it's raining, with the TV off, you're supposed to see. And of course, they're using CRTs, so I was laughing at that. It kind of dates the game. And I think there was a MySpace reference in the game. I'm like, wow, that kind of dates this game. But you're supposed to see, like, the person that you're supposed to is supposed to be your soulmate. But then what you and your friends wind up seeing is these glimpses of the second person that died. And then eventually you see another glimpse. Once you've kind of figured that out, you see another glimpse of somebody who you think is one of your new friends, and then she disappears. And you guys are, you as the main character, were able to go into the TV, and you find that there's like this completely different world in the TV, and there's this interesting little character. His name is Teddy. He's like a giant teddy bear. He's like an egg-shaped teddy bear with like a zipper on his neck. Persona games, I'll give them this. They're very different.
Tons of style.
But he tells you about, this is where he lives, and there's shadows, and the shadows, there's a bunch of fog in this world, and when the fog disappears, the shadows get angry, and then you find out, the fog appears in your world along with another murder victim. So you've come to the conclusion, once one of your friends disappears, you have to go in and find them, save them. And so right now I've got 4 people altogether. I just saved the girl who went missing.
Sounds about as far as I got into it, because this is my only Persona game as well.
But she, I think Cesar, did your audio? Okay, never mind.
Yep, there we go.
It fixed itself.
That's what I'm known for, fixing itself.
But, oh my gosh.
The girl you saved, the last one. Persona 4.
The Lady in the Lake. Finish the story.
Genevieve.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Guinevere.
But she,
Merlin.
I mean, you kind of go through this whole thing where you've gone into this world a couple times. Whoever you're with meets basically their negative emotions. They grow out of control, and then once you beat them and they accept even that, the worst parts of them are still them and it's okay, then they unlock their persona. So I've gotten,
it's cool.
all these I mean, I'm really enjoying this. But when she disappeared, there's a length of time, like Cesar was talking about. Everything's based on the progression of days, and they usually give you however many days to go through, and you do what you got to do to save somebody, or this, that, and the other, or you just fail and the game's over.
And also there's limitations on the weather too. Remember, weather affects certain aspects of that game too.
With this game, what it is you've noticed anytime there's a long period of rain, then after it stops raining, there's the fog comes in, and with the fog, that brings the murder victim. So we have to make sure that you check the weather forecast and see. Well, I got anxious, and I just, like, she disappeared. They talked about going in and like looking around, and the game was telling me, go train, do this,
right,
use your days wisely. It's like, I'm just going to go take care of this. And I just went in. I didn't die.
Got demolished.
I came pretty close a couple of times. I really, really wound up using most of my healing options and other items and stuff like that. So now I've kind of learned, okay, I do need to watch my days and probably go in a few times and then come out, heal, do this, that, and the other. But
because you can make progress through the dungeons and then come back out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like that in the fifth one, Cesar?
I mean, there's certain aspects where you hit a roadblock in the dungeon in the fifth one, but that's only early on in the game to kind of like teach you how to play it. But I'm at the point now where I can go through a dungeon in a day. So if I plan well, I typically just do the dungeon in one day, because basically to beat a dungeon is a 3-step process. You go in the dungeon, you can go through it, you make the pathway to the treasure. So they call the infiltration point. You establish that, then you send the calling card the next day, and then you have to wait another day before you can actually go in there and steal the treasure. So it could be in a 3-day period to complete that dungeon. After that, whatever the time limit is set on there, you can do whatever the fuck you want until the time limit is reached.
In that first part that I went through, I'm assuming that it continues to be exactly like this. Because the first time, I mean, we went in and it was just like you ran through one little area and then you went up to another floor and then you were done for that day. But when I went in to actually get the character, I went in and I mean, it kind of was like this dungeon crawling experience. You're running around, going through rooms, trying to find treasure, fighting off different monsters. And you go through, you finally find the stairs, you progress, and you keep doing that. I mean, I think it was like 5 floors before it finally got to I did it all in one day in the game, but I was like, man, it was right before I got to the final floor. I'm like, man, maybe I need to rethink my strategy.
How long is this going to go on?
But now I'm kind of getting a grip on it and seeing how it works. I'm enjoying this. I mean, this is my first Persona game.
It's a ton of character. I remember the Junes theme, and I haven't played that game in like 5 years or something.
Like their version of Walmart
shopping center.
Yes. Every day's great at your Junes.
And one of the characters sings it a lot.
That little girl. Yeah.
My first Persona game was Persona Uno on the
PS Uno.
Yeah, I mean, in doing research, I saw Persona 1, and then the second one that we got here in the States was technically part 2 of
you had Eternal Life and Innocent Sin, I believe.
Yeah. Because they called it Persona 2 over here, but it was like the second part of the actual Persona 2, and it all got very confusing when I was looking everything up. And then Shin Megami Tensei, it's like part of some of the Shin Megami Tensei games.
When is that Nocturne remaster coming out? Did we get a date for that recently? Featuring Dante. Nocturne HD.
May next month.
I was about to say it's pretty soon, and I think the like deluxe edition comes with Dante and some other stuff. I'm not even joking, but I think it was
Dante's DLC
with the digital one too.
Well, you want to get technical about it? It's like 18 different versions of that Shin Megami Tensei 3. I think we got one. Japan got like 9.
Why? What's so different?
They had different DLC things.
Oh, they just put on the disc and charge you another one.
Each one was a different color cover. So, like that's how you would tell. I'm trying to remember. I hit the thing on accident. My bad.
While you're looking that up, or did you find it?
Nocturne HD Dead Air.
So like the other versions they had on there was Maniacs and Maniacs Chronicle. They had like a Rodu version. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and each one's different. Like Maniacs had a new opening movie, the addition of Labyrinth Amala, hence the addition of Fiends, a new True Demon ending, a bonus for keeping your first Demon Party member Pixie. That's the one that came with Dante. Devil May Cry 2 is the very specific Devil May Cry 2 is Dante. You fight him, and you can have him in your party if certain conditions are met. It's like that bullshit they had when you can get Cloud or Aerith on fucking tactics. You had to do certain conditions on that shit too. Option of allowing several previously infusible bosses to join your party. The option to fight and later enlist the help of Beelzebub and Metatron, not
the devil,
the Transformer. Pierce was added as a new skill. General game balance adjustments. It looks like we got the Maniacs version. It's the one. Looks like the better version. Then they came out with the Maniacs Chronicle after that, and it looks like we're getting the HD remaster, which is completely different. Also, because it said Dante was given the Pierce ability, giving him the ability to complete skill parity with Radu. Dante himself became paid DLC for experience, and mecha grinding was added. And then Shin Megami Tyson 1, 2, 4, and 4 Apocalypse tracks were added as DLC.
Just what I wanted, mecha grinding.
Yep.
All
Anything
grinding.
grinding.
This is the grinding cast.
Grind. But yeah, if you look at it, you had the North American. All right,
it's getting a physical copy too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get it next month. I mean, this is the third one. I mean, I think we...
Do you have to have played 1 and 2?
Nah, they're all self-contained. I think this is the only one where the main character is obsessed with Matador. This is the one they all make fun of. Like, Matador, I can never get you, Matador. It's like a basic villain. And like in the other Persona games. But he's obsessed with Matador in this one. Matador! It's like that. It's like, I can't beat you, Matador.
What is the Matador? It reminds me of that Dragon
Matador.
Quest thing with the horns and the mask, the BDSM looking dude.
That's what it is, Matador. I think. Not, I don't want to ignore that. Matador. Yeah, here. This is not good for the podcast, but I'm sharing it for you guys anyways. There's all the different covers of
boy.
We got the top left one. I recognize
Japanese
that
cover
one.
Maniacs. Yeah. You see the European one, they call it Lucifer's Call. Ghost Light.
And then to let's see, to finish up, I went game shopping this past Monday. If you wish to see my pickups, I posted it to our Instagram. I got some pretty good pickups this past Monday. Among them was the TurboGrafx 16
you
Mini.
got your hands on one.
I think there were at least 4 or 5 of them at this location that I went to.
Priced?
$139.
That's not bad.
Yes.
It's cheaper than what it is now. So
I was about to say I looked online. They're like above 200.
Yeah.
Brand new in the box.
Brand new in the box. And since I got it, I had to pull it out. I played a little bit of. I played the first couple levels of a bunch of these. So Rondo.
Oh
no, Rondo of Blood. Galaga 88.
Ease.
New Island Adventure. Space Harrier. I booted up Splatterhouse. It's definitely different than the one that was on the Genesis, but it's still a good build. And then the last one I played a little bit of Ghosts and Goblins, and that's
you broke a
that
controller.
Japanese
Never played it again.
Japanese version. God, there's some bullshit in that game.
There's some bullshit in that series.
But I freaking loved. Oh, I love that music. I love that music so much. Booting it up and just and you just throw in and jump in and run. And I mean, you get to a certain point that it's not bad, and especially after you learn it. I mean, there's a learning curve, but golly, sometimes it just throws some dumb shit at you. That's just like, how am I supposed to do that? I didn't know he
went on to make Tomba, but then that made sense. Like seeing the character move and all that kind of stuff, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Who has that license? Does anybody know?
But
Sony.
That's not what I wanted to hear. We probably could have got that or Medieval. We got Medieval.
You missed that whole fight I saw on Twitter, I think maybe almost a year ago, where people were like, bring Tomba on Switch. And then people were arguing how Sony didn't hold that license. So I was just laughing. Like they were trying to will it into Sony not owning the license.
Camp or something, right? Isn't that the studio? Are they still around?
They ended up becoming like Deep Space, and they made that horror game on PS2, and then they disappeared afterwards.
Random. I wonder where they got off to.
But But that was all of my
Brent,
games
did you get a
played
second controller with the TurboGrafx?
I did not, but I was looking at Hori's controller, which is still like around 25.
They're inexpensive, and that 8BitDo wireless one, that pops up every once in a while for like $15, $16, and that's a really good controller too.
Yeah, I've definitely got my eye on it.
That's a good controller. I know that's not the exact same size as the Turbo controller, but it's such a good controller.
Yeah. Now I'm just waiting for Limited Run to send that Astro City Mini. They talked about it was in hand and they were sending it out soon, and now it's 2 weeks later and they still haven't shipped it.
Your mini console collection is almost complete.
It is typical. Not knocking a Limited Run. It's just there.
All right, hour 48. We're gonna call it quits. Yeah. We made our magical time. I don't know how we do this.
Yeah. Well, you know the new rule is as soon as we hit that magical time, we stop immediately. So there's no contacts for whatever happens afterwards because it can be mid conversation and just 148 would cut out. That's it.
I should have cut it off.
Go back.
I'll cut out some clip and it'll make it exactly 148.
And then I know deep inside Richard's head, he's probably like, time to make Cesar shut the fuck up. Let's see.
Cut
here. This part
I'm getting paid
here.
Big money to do this. Our Patreon funds. All right. You guys got anything else you want to add?
So I want to add on here. I've just looked it up. So the guy who worked at Whoopie Camp, his last game he made was Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection for the Switch.
Oh. What was before that?
He had quit gaming. He was making games from 1982 to 2009, and then just started again, and then took a 6-year break and got back into 2015 and now. I think it looks like he.
That's wild.
He worked at Capcom, did Ghosts and Goblins, and then left Capcom.
Wow.
He is notorious for making his titles difficult for the average video game player and strict personality among peers. He's number 13 in top 100 game creators of all time lists on IGN.
Who's number 1?
Let me click on said article.
Now that we've dove in this wormhole.
It says archived. Hopefully it doesn't redirect me. Yep, it just redirected me to IGN on. Here we go. It looks like for whatever reason
that. You.
Yes. I'm just gonna re-edit the HTML and see if it goes on there because this is actually an archive. So I guess whatever happened, it disappeared from the original source. Miyamoto's number 1, which that was gonna happen. What makes more sense is who's number 2.
Kojima-san.
Number 2 is
Sid
Meier.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And then number 3 is Will Wright.
When was this article written?
A while back, 2009.
Cliffy B might be in there. He was hot then.
When I was like 4 years old, right?
Number 4 was Sakaguchi.
Sounds a big one. And let's do 5 and round it out and get the hell out of here.
Yep, no more after 5. 5 is a personal favorite.
Yes, excellent. 5 is worthy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Adios.
See you.
On the roost.